Wisdom, where we dive deep into the stories, minds, and movements of those who are making a difference. I'm your host, Erica, and today, we have a powerhouse in the building. We're talking about real community work, not just ideas and conversations, but action, impact, and transformation. And there's no one better to have this conversation with than today's guest, the one and only Kim Maye. Kim is a community advocate, nonprofit leader, and change maker who has been on the ground making a difference in Jacksonville for over a decade. She's the founder of Helping Hands Diaper Center and Knowledge and Empowerment. These are two nonprofits that provide essential resources to families in need. She's led community cleanups, food drives, and financial literacy programs. And if that wasn't enough, she's even served as the president of Duval Soil and Water Conservation, working to protect our air, water, and agriculture. Basically, if there's a way to uplift people, Kim is on it. But there's the thing. Being a leader, a disruptor, a true advocate for change, it's not easy. Today, we're going beyond the headlines. We're getting into the real conversations, the wins, the struggles, the things people don't talk about when it comes to serving the community. And of course, we'll tap into the Aquarius energy, visionary thinking, breaking barriers, and pushing the movement forward. Kim, I am beyond excited to have you here. Let's get into it. Welcome to Sitting with Wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, of course. So, how did you get into community work? I think in essence, I've always did community work. Growing up with my family, my mom was Jehovah's Witness, so the congregation helped to like build their buildings and things like that. So I feel like since birth, I've always been a person that kind of want to help other people. But if I had to think about a particular time, my sister called me when we first started a nonprofit a little bit before 2010, so probably like 2009. And she's like, "Hey, I seen this article, this newscast it says about diapers. Can you look up and see if there are any diaper centers in that area?" Like I'm the research person. I go and fact find. And I researched. I saw it with a need here. We got together and then we created Helping Hands Diaper Center of Jacksonville. Um, we didn't get a 501c3, so I guess I would have to say that was my first time because I needed diapers before, but I was married, right? And I qualified for none of the services that were out there. So to know that I personally experienced it, I like to help people. So I really just dug into it. And then from there, it kind of went on from there. And I started with diapers and then it led to other things. I would have never thought that me being where I am now and doing what I do, that I would have been doing that. That's beautiful. So, what about your other nonprofit, the Knowledge and Empowerment? So, Knowledge and Empowerment, that was about 2017, and Helping Hands kind of was like the guinea pig. So we created that as a not for profit, but not with the 501c3 status. Knowledge and Empowerment, we actually made that a 501c3 status. Technically, they could be all in one, right? But because the diaper center was supposed to be something else so much bigger, we just thought to focus on knowledge and empowerment as far as for the people and empowering them and giving them different resources outside of the diapers, right? So we've had that status since 2017, pretty much. I've won about 3 grants. The last one was last year on my birthday time through list. And that was dealing with food insecurity to create boxes and the areas. And pretty much, if you ever seen like the little library boxes, we take a book, get a book. We utilize that for food. Okay. Right. So there's a church over in the 3209 area that has one. Dr. McGowan is about to get one on Main Street. Okay. And particularly putting them in areas that are considered to be a food insecure area, right? Which basically means that you don't have a grocery store within a mile and a half away from you. And a lot of pantries, most pantries are not open 24 hours during the day. You know, if you ever seen food giveaways, you have to go at certain times, and a lot of times they're during working times. They have gotten a lot better and they provide some on the weekends. But if you don't get there in a week and you don't get there on the weekend because you happen to work, then you're kind of SOL, right? So this is like a component, not 100% solution, but something to do until we got the other phases started. So that way you have access to this food. If they're a food pantry, they fill the pantry. If they're not a pantry, then we would fill the pantry. Does that make sense?
It does.
And you just keep track of how much food is in there and you replace it. It's for all non-perishables. And eventually we're going to get one that's refrigerated because the goal is to solve food insecurity, right?
Yeah.
So first start is the mini pantry, so you make it 24 hours accessible. The next part would be community gardens. If you have community gardens on almost every other block, then once you have access to fresh food, then you have those overages. The people could either sell them or they can give them away and put them in a pantry box and say, hey, I have zucchini and collard greens.
Right.
They'll be good for 24 hours, 48 hours. Come get as much as you like, right? So that's kind of
That's
that is.
but that's beautiful. Like the whole concept. So how if somebody wanted to be a part of that, like how would they reach out to you?
Right now, I took down everything except for social media. I took down the websites. But like with my diaper bank, people always can call me directly or they can message me on Facebook. It's my personal number that I've had for over 20 years.
Okay.
So it's personal and business. And then they ask me how they want to help. So I've had people contact me and say, hey, okay, I want to donate to your cause. I preferably don't accept money, right? I want them to get the product. So if it's around helping hands, then you can purchase whatever diapers, clothing that you would like. You can meet me or do it at Walmart and I'll pick it up.
Okay.
If it's you want to purchase a box or donate, then you would give me the money for that box. I give you a receipt, you write it off. So it's not about the money. It's more about I have this thing like if everybody did what they knew was right, imagine how the world would be. So for me, I'm doing my part. I saw a problem. I'm a solution-based person.
Right.
Then I started doing my alternatives as I looked and saw what organizations was doing what, how was it impacting, what issues do we still have, and I just did it.
I love that. A problem solver.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That fits right along with your zodiac sign.
Humanitarian.
The humanitarian, the Aquarius. So I have a question. So Aquarius energy is all about shaking up the norm. What outdated mindsets or systems are you working to dismantle in Jacksonville?
It's the silos for me. It's very cliquey, right? And I have this notion that, everybody has a lot of different ideas and opinions, right? And you tend to gravitate towards those people that have those ideas,
Right.
right? But then if you look around here, there's nothing but silos, meaning that you're just standoffish over here. There may be 10 organizations over here to do the same thing, but you've separated yourself.
Yeah.
So more camaraderie, more working together. I can work with anybody, even if I may not personally like you. If we're both going for X,
Right.
and I know what your motive is, and you know what my intention is, because I'm really big on intention, then we can go for X if we both agree, right? I don't have to like you personally. I don't have to like the styles that you're doing, but we're both going the same way.
Right.
We both want to combat homelessness, or we both want to combat food insecurity, or we both want to educate the people on herbs.
Right.
Right? There's enough for everybody to benefit if that's why you're in it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? For me, it's never been a financial thing. It's always been how can I help the people? How can I help the people? Right? Because if that was the case, our nonprofit would have been big a long time ago. But you have to study something to see what the kinks are in order to get it right.
Yeah.
Right? But I just wish we got together a lot more often with a purpose and good intention. It's a lot of backstabbing. It's a lot of scamming. It's a lot of not communicating. There's a lot of people taking on other people's lifestyle with their ideas, right? Not giving any credit. And some people don't want anything but a thank you, right? To tell people where the source came from. So if we can just come together more and be more intentional, right? I think we'll go a long way. Because at the end of the day, it takes everybody. I'm just one of very many.
Right.
I have my part. You have your part. Like doing this podcast, getting people on here. Like everybody has a piece. So that comes down to those self-reflection. It comes down to have you figured out your purpose, right? If your purpose you feel is just making money, then go with your purpose, right? if that's your purpose. My first purpose: feed, lead, build, and educate.
I love that. Feed.
And that didn't come from me. That came from the Most High. I'm a very spiritual person. I didn't create my own journey.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Facts.
None of it. If I'm 100% honest, none of it. But I chose, just like 007, I chose to accept the mission. It was presented, I accepted it, and I've been doing it since I accepted it.
I love that. I love that. When do you feel like it was like that moment, that spark where you were like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna fight it anymore.
I want to say 2010, but that's when it started, and maybe 2015, 2016. I remember having a conversation with my now ex-husband, and my son saying, "Hey, this is what's laid on my heart. This is what I do. Nothing's more important than the mission." You understand? Like, family is first. Um, but after all that, this is what I'm doing. And it wasn't something that was bringing in residuals. It was more of me giving. It was more of taking out of the household than putting in.
Yeah.
So not everybody's able to understand that if you're not aligned spiritually, right? If your focus is just to get the bills paid, which is good, I have a bigger focus than that, right? I know God didn't put me here just to work 24/7 on the earth that is free. But
Oh, you said a word now.
yeah,
The earth
I try to
is
keep
free.
it down because everybody don't, you don't really get it. But
No, that's a word.
yeah,
Ooh, okay. I love that. All right. So the next question is, you've dedicated over a decade to serving others. What's one thing people misunderstand about the work you do, and how do you challenge those misconceptions?
a lot of people think that I just have everything down packed, and it's really the passion that keeps me going, right? I don't drive a Mercedes Benz. I don't own my house. I rent, right? I keep a lot of stuff to the minimum because for me, materialistic is not important. It's about how many lives can I impact before I leave this earth. Um, I think that people confuse my passion for anger, and I'm not angry. I'm just passionate.
Right.
And I care about something, but if you've never been in a space with somebody who has such an energy, then it can be taken a certain type of way.
Right.
That took me a while to get over, per se. I think my last role as president with Duval Soil and Water, something clicked. And I was just like, it's not my job to make people understand. It's not my job to make you comfortable.
Right.
Right. If the message that I am giving makes you uncomfortable, it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. Yeah. And you were supposed to figure out why that triggered you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I honor and respect people's journeys. But at the same time, I was toning myself down. And I'm not posting on Facebook, but it's like if my light is too bright and it blinds you, then you're just going to be blind if you don't put on shades.
Yeah.
Right? My intention is not to come and harm. My energy is always good, but you can't really worry about all the time how people take you, because if I can't withstand it at this level without making all the financial coins that most people would brag about, right, and just doing the work, then how am I going to be when it becomes bigger? Yeah. And there are multiple nonprofits that me and my family own that are in different cities and states and international. I'm bound to rub somebody wrong. Yeah. Right. But then as I learned more about myself, it's like I care because I'm a caring person. I'm very emotional as well. I've just learned to be more emotionally intelligent. I've learned not to take it personal. Right. I've learned I get people's perception. You understand what I'm saying? So as long as I can see your perception of it, I can understand. We can agree to disagree. Right. And we can either choose to be in each other's space or not. And that is okay. Maybe not at this time, in this season. We can try it again next year. Yeah. Because I am not the same person from year to year or from month to month. As I go through my journey and I go through my lessons, I change. Right. I may sharpen something that I feel is a sharp edge on me, but once I figure it out, that's when I tweak and change it, if it needs to be changed. It's not to accommodate other people.
Hey, I love that. It's like the ability to self-reflect and then apply and then move with wisdom application. Like everybody, like the podcast is called Sitting with Wisdom, but without wisdom, you can't have the knowledge, but without the knowledge, you have to be able to apply it. So it's like that chain of command, and you seem like you do that so well.
But I haven't always been like this. You could ask family members. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I'm still on my journey,
Mhm.
as my dad says, because he's my counselor, he's my go-to. We talk about any and everything, and um, and he's seen the change, right? But I had to see it and want to make it and go through certain things to become who I am. Like I do daily reflection, and I try to think about when did I start doing that, right? Maybe 10 years ago, like really heavily, or my son's 21. I started doing affirmations with him maybe when he was 7 or 8.
Okay.
Because I was trying to be purposeful to put certain things in. So around that time, right, that I took it a lot more seriously for my own growth. You understand? But I think a lot of people that I've also taken all the psychology classes, not to learn how to learn other people. It was more to learn about me. So how I process, how I think. I had to go back and look at my childhood and say, okay, why do I react a certain way when somebody says this? Why, at some point, I was a people pleaser. And I understood, not here to please people, right? That comes from something that happened in my life. And I had to figure out where it went, what happened. Right. I started going to therapy. A lot of us in the Black community don't like therapy. It is now catching on now. I believe everybody should go to therapy. Everybody should have somebody that is not a close friend to talk about those moments when we say we're okay and we're not okay. Yeah. You understand? When you're doubting yourself and you're feeling like it's something wrong with you, when in essence, could be absolutely nothing that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's something that somebody else is triggered by, which makes you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm still learning. Yeah. I'm still going through my journey. Until the day I take my last breath, I'm going to continuously be learning because to me, life is nothing but school. But and a lot of stuff I say, I get from my father.
Yeah.
So but this is how close we are, how much we talk. And my mom and dad were married, but then they got divorced when I was 5. Okay. So I didn't have my dad in the household. I got to see him. So I feel like, and we talk about this, I felt like maybe 21, 22, when I started to reach out and ask questions, that is when our relationship really developed. So what he gave me was a crash course in all the things that he would have put in me had he been physically there in the household. You understand? Like, when I say crash course, it's like, all right, then hold on. Like, it's a lot, right? So, but that's what made me who I am.
I love that though. Like we're talking about that in the last podcast, how your environment, the people you're around, can really formulate you and bring out some of the worst and some of the best traits of you, right? Yeah. But you learning how to leverage that and use that to advance in life, to help people, to navigate. It's important.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So another question I have here is, what are some behind the scenes challenges of running a nonprofit that people don't see?
It's the time management balancing. Like I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I have my own nonprofit, but I'm also clocking into somebody else's job currently right now, right? So currently it is managing my time to be able to still answer my phone calls and get up. Luckily, the space that I'm at now, they understand that I'm not there for a long time. I'm there for a short time. And that I do a lot of different things. And when my phone rings, I get up and answer it. So, like, I have a couple people that are in my text messages right now that are waiting for me to send stuff, but I can't do that until I get home because I came here. So, it's just balancing the time, getting back to people properly. Like, I may feel like I'm getting back to them properly, but like when you're a mom that is in need of diapers, or you're an elderly person that's in need of diapers, or wipes, or formula, whatever it may be, that right to you was a huge urgency because it is. And you may call me and I may tell you I'm going to get back with you within 48 hours, but you're going to call me before 48 hours.
Yeah.
Because you're in need. Right. So then I have to wait because I'm a caring person. And this is where you got to kind of do the balance of, okay, do I stop what I'm doing here, even though I've set the expectation? And I make sure the text message say, hey, remember I told you X, Y, and Z. It'll be during this time frame. I have a waiting list. I'll let you know when you're next in line. Right. So just not getting overwhelmed overwhelmed, making sure I give people good time schedules on when I can do it. And I always tell people when they call me, like, I'm a full-time worker. So I apologize if I can't answer in every second, or it's 30 minutes later or 15 minutes later.
Right.
Because I'm physically somewhere else. I'm physically working. Right. So, and most people understand that.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like it also is a requirement of clear communication.
But also has a requirement to have active listening. A lot of people don't active listening. No, they don't.
I
They don't.
I
They don't.
understand.
And it's like, oh, I did say that. Let me try saying it again a different way. And then, you have some patience and you go from there. Because, like, if you contact WIC business hours are from, let's say, 8 to 5.
Right.
You can't call them and text them at 9, 10, 12 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning because they open at a certain time. So I have to be mindful that even though I don't have a building, I'm operating out of my home and I'm meeting people, that it's still the same thing.
Right.
If you wouldn't do this the way you wouldn't do it to Medicaid, you wouldn't be able to, because they have protocols, they have procedures. So trying to get people online like that.
Got it. Okay. So if you had to pick just one of these at the cornerstone of your mission, which would it be and why? So the feeding, leading, building, and educating.
I would say building, because all of those encompass you have to build, right, at some point. The foundation is important. So that's why I would start there, right? You don't want to build your house on sand and not have a good foundation, because that's going to break down, right? So the building component is important because of that, because that is the foundation, because that's the starting phase for any of those categories,
Right.
right? Whether it's feeding, building, it all starts with buildings.
Okay. I love that. Okay, so we're going to your financial literacy. So you've worked in financial counseling and community empowerment. What's the biggest financial trap keeping underserved communities from thriving?
The programs. And when I say programs, I mean, like, let's say, for example, HUD. And it's only because nobody taught us how to get out of the system, only how to utilize the system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And a lot of time our people become complacent. So, and for those that are not on programs like HUD, then it's just money management, right? You may have more than enough, but you haven't itemized everything. You haven't put down, what are your expenses? What are you using for fun? What's your fun money?
Right.
Okay. Because there's a difference. Like, a lot of people, we swipe.
Right.
Back in the day, you would talk to balance your checkbook.
Right.
How many people do you know that balance their checkbook right now?
Ooh.
Or even know how to?
That is a good question.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. A simple spreadsheet, and I mean, I learned some of this stuff at Family Foundations when I was working there as a nonprofit, which they had actually put us on leave because, surprisingly, they didn't have any money financially. That was kind of interesting for a financial nonprofit to end up not doing that. But it happens when you have different people in different positions. But a simple spreadsheet for most people can change their life. Putting down and seeing, what am I spending? Keeping your receipts for every time that you get lunch. How many times out the week do you eat lunch? Can you afford to do that? Right? Put yourself on a budget. If I know my bills are, let's say, $1,200, I get paid $2,000. Let's say my rent, and we're just gonna make stuff up, but my rent, all the major stuff, the JEA bill, your auto, let's say all of that comes up at $1,200. You have $2,000. So what is the rest of the money used for? Once you figure out where your money is going and how you're spending it, then you could change your habit. Right. But that requires you to be disciplined. So a lot of it is lack of discipline, lack of knowledge, and knowledge is a big one because perhaps you weren't taught. Right. And a lot of our people like instant gratification, which means that I want you to just give me the information, but we have cell phones that are pretty much computers. Yeah. So anything that you want to know how to do, write down the budgeting, you can Google it. Right. You can put it in GP chat, DeepSeek, any of those. You want to know how to stop eating out so much, to look up recipes on TikTok. Use it more than just than entertainment. Right. So if I'm on social media, specifically TikTok, I'm up there learning. Right. Anything I want to learn about, I can do it there. If not, I'm going to YouTube University. Yep. But I like to research. So that's my thing.
Right.
I like to gain knowledge. But if you're not a person that likes to research, then you have to get yourself rammed up to be able to find what you need, because everything is here for us.
Yeah.
We just don't take the opportunity to find it. We rather pay for a master class than use our own eyes and hands to research the same information that's readily available to you for free.
Yeah. This is very,
But that's conditioning.
this is facts.
Yeah. So
what if, okay, so what you're saying that this is conditioning, how do we break conditioning? Like, what are your recommendations of somebody saying, hey, I want to get out of this cycle that I'm in? What are some steps they could use?
I mean, you first got to start self-reflecting and figure out, where did you get that from? This is me, partially unconditioned. If you met me 15 years ago, I wouldn't be the same Kim sitting in front of me. Right? Because I had to I pretty much had to wipe my slate clean of everything I knew, whether it's about religion or health, and start from scratch. Right? I had to fact find, and then I started reaching out to people who I knew would give me correct information. Does that make sense? And I would fact check with them after I did my own research. But it didn't necessarily come from anybody else. It came from me. Right? So the day that you stop and say, okay, you look in the mirror and be like, all right, I'm not at where I thought I would be at.
Right.
My life is not how I want it to be. I need to change. What do I need to do to change?
Yeah.
You know, what are some things that I don't like where I'm at? So that means having an honest conversation with yourself. And part of that problem is most of us are not honest, let alone to other people or ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think it requires you, as I like to say, that you can only walk around with your mask for so long. If you remove the mask, Michael Jackson, man in the mirror.
Yeah.
You got to start with the man in the mirror. You have to start with you first. But we're often so ready to point fingers. You. Okay, well, what about you? Yeah. What about me? What is it about me that I need to change? I procrastinated? Procrastination has stopped me from a lot of different things. And I had to figure out how not to make myself procrastinate. I was overly emotional. You could hurt my feelings in 2.2 seconds. I had to figure out how to become emotionally intelligent. Nobody else did that for me.
Right.
I had to do it for myself. So you see what I'm saying? People look for instant gratification. You want somebody else to fix you. It is nobody else's responsibility to fix you but you, right? If you see something that needs to be fixed.
Oh, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So, looking in the mirror and figure out, because I tell you this, I'm not where I thought I would be. I turned 45 this year.
Okay.
And I didn't think it was going to be emotional. I did. I cried. I had I think I was talking to my friend Charlie. She was like, perfect. And I just started boo-hoo crying because I felt like I'm 45 and my time was running out. And I have so much more that I want to do. But because I procrastinated in the past, right, that I felt like I got myself off my journey. And then I was like, dang, I didn't forgive myself. I got to give myself grace. I wasn't giving myself grace. I heard myself talking to other people saying, you got to give yourself grace. And I'm like, I'm telling these people to give themselves grace.
Right.
You got to give yourself grace.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did. This is, it's not easy.
Right.
Like social media, people show their lives and their journey of entrepreneurship and nonprofit and for-profit and credit counseling, but they only show you the good parts.
Yeah.
They only show you when you're winning.
Yeah.
So then sometimes you get into comparing yourself to other people. And that's definitely a stealer of joy and thief because you are nobody else and nobody else is you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So once you really grab hold to that, I can't ask somebody else how to get where I'm going because you don't even know where I'm going, right? You understand what I'm saying? Now you can give me advice on how you got to where you went,
right?
And maybe I could take some insight from that to see it applies to my life. But it's not going to be the same for me as it is for you,
right?
So once we stop comparing, once you forgive yourself, and forgiving is not like I forgive myself one time and it's done. No, you may have a little moment because sometimes I say this thing. Sometimes I'm human, which means I'm going to have that human moment, and sometimes I got to snap myself out of it, or my tribe snaps me out of it, right? Because sometimes I may not snap myself out of it. And maybe my fiance be like, hey, because I need that reassurance.
Right.
Because sometimes you forget for 2.2 seconds who you are and what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Love that. I'm taking notes.
Taking notes. Listen, it's just me now. Because what I say, don't take it with a golden spoon. But I'm like this. Chew up the meat and spit out the bones. If there's something that applies to you that you feel like you can use, please do. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I don't proclaim to have all the answers. I don't know everything. I'm just giving you a piece of what I do in my journey in my life.
Facts. And I think that's especially for me with this podcast, the thing is, like you said, chew the meat, spit out the bones. Whatever resonates with you, because I'm one that believes in divine intervention and also the spirit leading me. So when it feels like it fits, then I take heed and I sit and I apply that wisdom. And so I think for everybody, not everything is going to work.
Yep.
But what does work and what feels good to you, you take that and you apply it.
And you got to be listening, because sometimes your spirit will tell you something if you're in tune, and you may miss it.
Oh yeah.
And it's okay. Just next time know what the voice sounds like so you won't miss it.
Yeah. Okay. So clean air, water, and agriculture. These are critical issues. How do we get everyday people to care about conservation, even if they don't see the immediate impact?
I think right now in 2025, a lot of people should be waking up, right? As we talk about tearing down forests and things of that nature that have been sacred and private for years because our trees provide oxygen, or simply looking at the scare with the eggs, right?
Yeah.
We have tons of chickens because we got tons of chicken wings, but we have issues with eggs, so we're raising the prices, right? That should wake some people up. I used to say this thing, and I still do challenge people when we're talking about food insecurity, that I want everybody to look around in the area where they stay at and see how many healthy options they have. Look in your neighborhood and see how many people are growing. If you remember back to COVID, right, when we kind of shut down and food wasn't being stocked as it was, if the grocery stores ran out of food and water, what would you do? What would you do? That should be a wake up for anybody. As many recalls that we're having on everything, right down to spinach, whatever, vegetables. It's not even just meat, right? So I think that should be a wake up call. And just how different the food is now and how it's affecting us and affecting our children. Because what you eat makes a difference. What you breathe in makes a difference. What you drink makes a difference. So if we're not getting clean water, we don't have clean air, food is suspect, then how do you think we're going to be as humans? Because we need these things in order to survive. So I think something should click on. There are a lot of now people that are locally growing, that are doing different experiments on how to purify our water. And so I think it's starting, right? But not enough of us are taking any action. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can grow anywhere, whether you're in an apartment or a house. You don't even have to have a backyard. You can start with herbs, right? We stay right around the corner in an HOA, and we had 4 chickens. A raccoon got to them, so now we got to redo. But we had 4 chickens for almost a year, and we were getting our own eggs. And then people were buying eggs from us, and we were bartering eggs, and we were giving eggs away, right? We were growing collard greens, potatoes, different staples. And I'm not a farmer by any means. Even before I got into soil and water, I had just been experimenting with gardening and growing. And then that was really the component for me of tying in of what we eat, how it makes us act, tying back into the food insecure areas. So it all started with me saying that we have food insecure areas that then made it me want to do more. Right? You understand what I'm saying? So it's going to be different for everybody. I don't know what's going to take for people to kind of snap on that light once you realize. And I just say, look at food in your kitchen. And at the end of the day, look at your water. If all these things were cut off, what would you do?
Yeah.
How would you survive? Where would you get water from? Do you know how to find a water source? Do you know how to grow? You understand?
Yeah.
We all don't know how to chop up chickens and cows, but everybody has the ability to grow.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part too of building community. Because, like you said, everybody has something that they can do.
Yep.
And you can't do everything.
Nope.
So having a community, building community, that's another reason.
Yes. Yep. I mean, some people are doing it, but I don't think enough of us are doing it.
I believe that too.
Yeah.
I can see the slow shift,
But
the way that the world is moving at this point, it's like you might want to speed up just a bit.
Yeah, because it's serious out there. You don't see it. I don't know what to tell you. Don't listen to everything you see on the news. Just watch around and look at the grocery stores.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Okay, moving from food, because boy, that's a topic.
I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, let's go into holistic health. You've taken deep dives into natural healing. How does health empowerment tie into community empowerment?
I mean, by body, mind, and soul, right? You have this vessel. You only get one vessel in this lifetime. You have to take care of it.
Right.
Right. So if you're not eating right, you're not taking the right herbs, you're taking too much medicine, you can harm it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just another component of keeping my vessel good so I can still be here to continue on my journey.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at it as simply as if I'm not taking care of me, I'm not eating right, I'm not getting the right supplements, then I'm not going to be flourishing to the 100% as I could be.
X. I am I'm on a 90-day experience.
I know, I've been watching.
90-day experience. And when I was vegan before, back in 2013, I stopped, merged in with everybody else. And then I still detox from time to time. But now, on this completely raw experience, when I say just eating the food, I can feel the electricity coming from my body. Like the moment I'm done, I'm like, oh, like stuff like energy. And my husband, he's watching me. He's just like, you are transforming. He's like, what is that? Like, what are you doing?
It's the food because you're eating raw.
It's the food. And when I tell you the downloads, the way
coming,
oh my goodness, the way I could just sit in silence and listen to the Most High. Oh, it's been powerful.
So I saw your starting of it, and I said, okay, she's about to trigger me to do it. Because I know I don't always eat right? But I was like, I know once I do that and do that moment that it's going to be firing off, right? You got to get there, though. Because I've did it before, and it's like, okay, why did I stop? It was like one piece of smell of a chicken, and I ate one, and it reverted me back. I said, okay, Kim, you know that's conditioning. So you motivated me, and hopefully a whole bunch of other people.
I hope so.
Because it is amazing.
When I tell you, and I'll be a month in come the 15th. I'll be a month, a whole 30 days that I'm doing. And I've dropped so many pounds without working out.
Yep.
When I say pounds, I'm not even just talking about like weight. I'm talking about stress.
Yep.
I'm talking about like just the gunk that you grab onto that you don't even realize you're holding.
Right.
And just the release that I am experiencing, like, it makes me want to look.
Testimony at the end of the 90 days, ma'am.
Man.
You have to be ready for it, though.
Yeah.
That's definitely for sure, because it's going to take you through a transition. But I do know the downloads that you get are awesome. It's because the food that you're taking in, and you're not cooking it.
Yeah.
So you're getting all the nutrients.
Yeah.
All the nutrients.
Nobody else in the family is doing it. The boys, they always eating fruits and vegetables, but like the commitment of the whole raw. And so I'm cooking, and they all like, "You're not like," no, I'm not eating. And just I know them seeing that the discipline that I'm having, it's like because all of a sudden, even my husband, who is like an avid junk food eater, he's just like, oh, "Can I taste that? Let me try that." And then he tastes it, he's just like, "That's good." What? See? But yeah, I mean, and that's my whole motto is be a spark.
Yeah.
Just be a spark. All right. So moving back, we have access to healthcare is a challenge for many, right? How do we integrate holistic wellness into the mainstream conversation without it feeling out of reach for those who are struggling to make ends meet?
You have to know the room. You have to know the person that you're talking to, right? Because everybody's not at that state. I mean, I started now, even when I go to the chiropractor, they know I'm with holistic options. You know, understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm more, it's, you can ease it in. So I do it at work and everybody knows, like, Kim, you always know what to take. What about this? What about that? And that's because I listen to them in conversation.
Right.
Like, there's a lady I work with and she was like, well, I have anxiety and I'm on this medicine. I said, well, have you looked at, looked at the side effects of your medicine to see perhaps if that medicine is causing it? And I was like, well, I do herbal stuff. You could try lemon balm. She's like, what is that? It's a herb, it's a tea. And and I Googled it for her. And do you know, she came back the next day. She didn't exactly have lemons balm, but she had something with lemons balm in it. Right. She did the work.
Right.
I just told her where to find it.
Right.
She tried it out. Right. And that's just me talking. But even in passing to somebody, if I hear them talking about something, I just kind of say, hey, can I give you some advice or something? And once they tell me yes, then I'll give them a suggestion of something that I know I've used. Right. But I always say that, hey, if you're taking medicine, make sure you talk to your doctor before you put this into it, because some herbs can counteract with the medicine that you take. So you have to be very careful, especially when it's dealing with blood pressure medicine. Right. So I just kind of put it in there.
Just a little spark, just a little
A
sprinkle.
little drizzle, and then sometimes they come back for more, and sometimes they don't. Some people try it, some people don't, but everybody has a choice.
Yeah.
If you're serious about your health and making a change, what will you do to change it?
Big. Okay. If you could reimagine how nonprofits operate in America, what radical change would you make?
It would be the majority of the money going towards a mission cost or administration, right? A lot of, from what I've seen in my past couple of years, a lot of nonprofits end up going down because they can't keep over their overhead, but majority of their overhead is salaries. So you get started, you get the money and grants in, but you're so focused on making sure you can pay the people that you don't have enough left to do the mission, right? So maybe just funding or grants specifically just for administration. So you don't have to take it out the grant that you have and try to figure out how to utilize this little bit of money you have and still pay your people. A lot of nonprofit organizations have about 5 or 6 grants that cover 1 or 2 people's salary. Why not just have one that can take out for that person's salary, right? And it's not even, and I don't want to call them lower level people, but it's not even the people that's in the back of house that's getting paid the most. It's the people that sit higher in position. Not even really truly the people that are out there doing the work now. Now you're sitting behind the table. So maybe looking at how much the salaries they're paying for the high end people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of money goes towards salaries. And then really truly looking at how can you sustain this without a grant. A lot of people don't look outside other sources. You're mostly just focusing on the grant money. But like during times now, we don't know we're going to get certain things.
Right.
If that grant money runs out, then you're not able to sustain your organization, right?
Yeah.
My organization doesn't just run on grants. Remember, I said I only had 3.
Right.
Right? This has been me, blood, sweat, tears, equity, money, because it's that important to me. How important is it to you?
Right.
When you sacrifice cutting down your salary. You understand what I'm saying? So I think the focus just needs to shift more back to the mission, and you could still pay people.
Right.
But again, it's not the people here that's getting the money. It's the people up here that's getting the money.
Yeah.
And the people here is who doing the work.
Right.
So
that makes sense. Okay, if you had unlimited resources, no red tape, no politics, what's the one thing you would change about your community today? Just one.
I'm always gonna go because it's between.
All right, give us 2. Give us 2.
Because I was like, my first thing is going to be food, because I think that's the first introduction to becoming who you are. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The next piece would be the education and resources for financial literacy, because I feel like that's the 2 components we're missing. if we were financially literate, and then we also had the healthy food option choices that we can eat from versus the hot Cheetos and crabs. And every now and then, okay, that's fine, everything in moderation. But if you look in these areas that are lacking, whether financially or not, if you look at the census and you look at the zip codes and you look at their areas, they look different than over here.
Yeah.
Right? You have a lot more choices over here than you do in other spaces. So, because I understand what you eat makes a difference in how you think, and as you just stated, just even eating raw, right? How it's changed your mental, your physical, your spiritual, because that is a key component.
Yes.
If you feed people trash, then how are they able to operate at the highest frequency, right? If you don't give them the tools growing up on financial literacy, then how do you expect them to be able to sustain and have it later on?
Yeah.
Right? We don't talk about credit any longer. We talk about credit once you messed up your credit.
Yeah.
How many people have had that talk before? Right? You don't talk about how to balance a checkbook. You don't talk about how to do taxes. We don't talk about investments as much as we should. Right?
Yeah.
If we started all this at a younger age, imagine where we would be. Right?
Yeah.
Versus just focusing on sports. You know, a lot of us in the community, which we're great at everything. So don't think I'm taking that away. But when you ask young people, because I've substitute taught before, my major was elementary education. So in essence, I was going to be a teacher, right? And I would ask my students what they wanted to be. And the main answer, football player, rapper, those were the two things. Those were the top two. You didn't have many kids saying, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then so I started to challenge them, but that was the most two responses. And why is that? As if that's all that we can do.
Yeah.
So that has to come with conditioning and what you see, what you hear in your household, right? But if we put more in, as more parents are now starting to do now, because I see that as well, but it takes some time to change where we come from.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be financial literacy and it's going to be food. Because I think those are two key components that would shift our lives drastically. All right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Some more questions.
Okay.
So people watching this interview might feel inspired, but unsure how to act. What's one immediate step anyone could take to support their mission, the mission you're building?
It's help somebody out. It doesn't necessarily have to be contacting me on how you can help me. If you're in the store and you see somebody doesn't have something and you have it, pay for it if you're able to pay for it. It's not always financial. If you see another person, whether it's black, white, gray, or blue, try speaking to them. Ask them how their day is. You never know how that could shift somebody's life. You understand what I'm saying? You never know what somebody's going through. And maybe you saying something, even just speaking, would have changed them. So it doesn't require always financial. A lot of people think it's just finances, and it's not. It's a kind of word. It's sharing knowledge that you have that you know other people don't have,
Right.
and you're giving it without wanting anything. Right. So people ask me, Miss Kim, how can I give back? You helped me, you got diapers. I just ask that you pay it forward. Yep. I just ask if you see somebody else in need, not necessarily financially, that you help them if you're able to.
Right.
And if you have the capacity to, please do so. Don't hesitate.
Right.
You know, because I'm no different than anybody else. I just really want to see everybody win. I really want to help people out if I can do that. You understand? Many times people have told me to quit and stop doing what I'm doing. Why? They said, well, Kim, you can't fill from an empty cup. And I've learned that not to be true. My cup may have seemed to be empty, but I was focusing just on finances. I have knowledge I can give. That costs me nothing to give it to you.
Right.
So I'm going to give it. I have time. My time may cost something, but I'm okay with giving you my time to listen.
I love that. I love that. Simple acts, simple sparks.
That's it.
All right. Final one. If you could leave Jacksonville with one lasting message about community, healing, and empowerment, what would it be?
Start with yourself. Be the change you want to see, whatever that looks like, whatever that is, right? And I'm just going to end it like this. If everybody did what they knew was right, imagine how the world would be. Just play your part. Everybody has a part to play. Play your part. Figure out what that part is.
I love that. Very powerful. All right, on here we get one last question surprise.
Oh my
question.
goodness. Yeah, tell me about this now.
Out of the ball, pick one and I'll read it.
What's on top?
All right now.
Whoa, let's see. You've had some great questions, so I hope this is not too much.
If your success was turned into a movie, what would the title and key lesson be?
The name of the movie will be If God. And what was the other portion of it?
And what's the key lesson?
That He is everywhere and everything. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that is the end of this episode. Sitting with wisdom with Miss Kim May, and we were so privileged. And we thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and keep doing it because you are beyond phenomenal. And I'm just going to speak you, even though you don't see it. You are going to go far and beyond podcasting. This is just a stepping stone.
I receive it.
And I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.